In our previous video, we talked about how Amanda, which is the wife of Jonathan, swapped a baby through the help of a midwife that she paid at the hospital. And the innocent woman who gave birth to the male child went home with the female child without knowing what actually happened. But still, she was having a feeling that something happened while she was asleep. But she just can't figure out exactly what's going on with her. Well, nevertheless, she went home with a very beautiful little female child. Few years later, she was always having this dream of a little boy who is always calling her mommy, but she just can't see the face of the boy and can't seem to understand the meaning of the dream. And of course, she is a single mother who worked really hard to raise Stephanie, her daughter, to be a very smart girl. Some years later, Stephanie made it to the university to study law because she has always wanted to be a lawyer. And then Stephanie met this guy whose name is Eric, who is actually in his middle 20s, the same age as her. And they started getting along because they both had similar interests, and they became best friends and high school sweethearts. So during the school holiday, Stephanie invited Eric to join him while he goes to visit his mother. But when they got there, something really happened. Stephanie's mom was so overjoyed when she saw Eric. She jumped on him, hugged him so tight like they actually had a special bond. And that was quite unusual for somebody that you just met. But she was happy because her mother is so excited to see them both. Stephanie was so surprised to see how her mother is actually getting along with Eric, who is actually the first guy that she has ever brought home. And they had so much fun together throughout the weekend. And the morning after the weekend, Eric is set to go home to his own family. And Stephanie's mother hugged and kissed him on the cheek. And she said, "Goodbye, my son." And Eric responded, "Goodbye, Mama," without actually knowing that she is his real mother, who was stolen from her at the hospital when he was born. While he was alone, he's always texting Stephanie. They started talking about everything that happened during the weekend at her mother's place. And 3 years later, they both graduated, and Eric proposed, and she said yes. And then they started planning a wedding. And then one day, Eric, Stephanie, and all the family members were invited for a Thanksgiving feast. A woman in her 50s knocked at the door. She was allowed in. The moment she walked into the place of the gathering, Eric's mother saw her and she was shocked to see the nurse that she paid 28 years ago showing up at her house. Then she asked her, "What are you doing in my house right now?" And the woman said, "I have a confession to make." And of course, that got Amanda scared. She asked her to leave her house. But Jonathan, the husband, insisted that he would like to hear the confession. And the woman continued, "For 28 years, I haven't had peace of mind due to what happened between me and Amanda, your wife." And then she told them the whole story about the situation and why she decided to help Amanda, who is actually her friend. But due to the incident that happened, they stopped communicating for 28 years. And ever since then, for 28 years, she has been monitoring the two families, making sure that the two children are getting the love that they deserve, even though they were not actually with their real parent. And Eric was actually shocked to hear the story, and then she asked her, "Please, ma, which child are you talking about?" And she turned to Eric and said, "I'm really sorry, my child. I want you to know that your mother loves you so much, and she wasn't part of this." And then she turned to Stephanie, and she said, "I want you to understand that your mother is a good woman. She was just a poor woman who was trying to protect her marriage because she felt threatened by her husband to replace her with another woman if she failed to give her a male child. That was why she did what she did." Eric was still confused about the situation, and Eric continued, "Please, could you elaborate exactly on the issue of what you're talking about?" And then she said to Eric, "Your real mother is the woman beside you." And she turned to Stephanie and said, "Your real parents are Amanda and Jonathan." And Jonathan got so upset and said, "I knew there was something wrong at the hospital, and I ran a DNA test, and it came out that he isn't my child. Since everyone already knows that I have a male child, I had to live with that without confronting my wife and without bringing it up ever again. Why now?" So the nurse replied, "I wouldn't have come here if they hadn't been engaged to be married. I feel like they should know the truth about who they truly are before they start their own family. And I am really sorry." Eric's real mom, which is actually Stephanie's mother, walked up to Eric and grabbed him and said, "My son, I knew that there was something special about you the moment I set my eyes on you. For many years, I have been dreaming about you, but I just don't understand what was actually happening. But now I understand. And then she turned to the nurse and said, thank you so much for revealing the truth today. You have actually given me the peace of mind I have been praying for in a long time, and I forgive you. Stephanie got so angry with the situation, and she stepped out and started crying. So Eric ran out to go and meet her, and then he said to her, I know that our parents have offended us, but we have to forgive them for their ignorance. And my mother, who is actually your mother, was just trying to save his marriage. So I understand the situation. At least we are both loved wherever we are, regardless of which family that we grew up in. And I want you to know that the marriage is still going to happen. So they hugged and went back inside. 2 days later, the wedding was held and everyone was at the wedding and they were all happy together. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.